name is Beth Shackelford, and just like Gina and Jenny, I am new to Danville Toyota, so the automobile industry is something that is not in my background, so I'm still learning about this. When you come to Danville Toyota, whatever woman that you deal with, you're going to deal with an educated woman. We're all very knowledgeable, and we're going to do our best to make sure that we help you in the process of purchasing a vehicle. The following information will be helpful for you whether or not you are buying a car online or at the dealership. Do you research? So what type of vehicle do I need? What type of vehicle do you need? Evans.com and JDPower.com both have good vehicle research pages. A Google search works well. The main thing is to make sure you are fitting your personal needs with the vehicles you are researching. For example, you may be dreaming of a 2019 Supra, but you're a mother of 4 children. The vehicle you're purchasing is going to be the main transport vehicle for your children. Therefore, the Supra will not meet your needs at this moment in time. Dealership staff is always willing and available to help match your needs to the right vehicle as well. What cars are the most reliable? If you're going to spend the money on purchasing a vehicle, make sure it is dependable and reliable and is imperative. ConsumerReports.org is a great resource to help answer this question. Every year, they score all the brand models and make a determination. The predicted reliability score is set on a 0 to 100 point scale with the average rating falling between 41 and 60 points. The chart to the left is the 2018 ranking. As you can see, Toyota is number 1. What does it cost to maintain a vehicle over time? After you have done your research and made a decision on the type of vehicle that best meets your needs, now it is time to research how much the cost of ownership is going to be on the vehicle you are interested in. After purchasing the vehicle, you want to make sure the maintenance and repairs will be affordable. We have 2 good sources for this information. The first recommended source is Consumer Reports. They have asked subscribers to share their out-of-pocket expenses for general maintenance and repairs during a 12-month period. This is called the Auto Reliability Survey, with the most recent survey being from 2016. The average 12-month cost is based on the expenses the owners incurred over the life of their vehicles. The Mercury, Saab, Saturn, and Pontiac brands were discontinued between 2009 and 2012, causing no data for the 3-year-old models. The reason for the 3-year difference is to show a true look at the short-term maintenance and repairs versus the long-term maintenance as repairs. And as you can see, Toyota is closer to the bottom, which means it's cheaper to maintain than many other vehicles. Cost of maintenance continued. The second recommended source is www.yourmechanic.com. Interesting facts, most Americans spend about 5% of their income on purchasing a vehicle, with another 5% going towards maintenance and insurance. As previously stated, not every car costs the same to maintain. In addition, some vehicles have common concerns, which is also good to research in advance. The chart on the following slide is taken from the cost over the first 10 years of a car's life. They have grouped all the models within 30 different brands and calculated the average maintenance. Due to sizing limitations, we have listed the highest and lowest manufacturers along with the manufacturers that are in our area. The number preceding the manufacturer is where they fall rating-wise in the chart, with 1 being most costly and 30 being less costly. Luxury imports from Germany, such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, along with domestic luxury brand Cadillac, are the most expensive. A Toyota is about $10,000 less expensive over 10 years, just in terms of maintenance. Toyota is by far the most economical manufacturer. Scion and Lexus, the second and third most inexpensive brands, are both Toyota subsidiaries. Together, all 3 are 10% below the median cost. While luxury cars calls for the most expensive maintenance, Many budget vehicles rank relatively high. Kia, an entry-level brand, surprises with maintenance costs 1.3 times the median. In this case, sticker prices don't represent maintenance costs. Toyota and other Asian vehicles are the least expensive vehicles to maintain. Even the Tacoma and Highlander are on the low-cost leaderboard, even though the list is mainly dominated by compact and mid-sized sedans. Side note, Toyota completely avoids the most expensive model list altogether. An added benefit in owning a new Toyota is the 2 years, 25,000 miles of Toyota Care. This program covers all the oil changes and tire rotations. At Danville Toyota, we have added the Family Care program, which is an additional 2 years or 20,000 miles of oil changes and tire rotations, saving you money the first 4 years of your ownership of your new Toyota. Compare the resale values of the vehicles you are interested in. Kelley Blue Book is a great resource help with this. Kelley Blue Book's Best Resale Value Awards are presented annually. This is one of the most coveted honors in the automotive industry, and the Best Brand and Best Luxury Brand trophies are the program's pinnacle prizes. What cars are the safest to drive? This is a vast area that requires a lot of research. There are so many different safety ratings, and all individuals have their own specific preferences. These preferences include the amount of airbags, how the lights measure out, crash test ratings, and even the presence and effectiveness of active safety technologies. A good Google search is probably the best starting point, but here are some websites which can also help. Kelley Blue Book, United States Department of Transportation, Consumer Reports Guide to Car Safety Features. What is a fair price to pay for the vehicle you are interested in? Submit inquiries to several dealerships to compare their prices. We recommend 3 dealerships. When getting these quotes, it is imperative that you are comparing the exact same models, trim, and accessories. There are some that may quote you a less expensive price to get you in the door, and the vehicle may not have the options you wanted or needed. Make sure to always ask for a line-by-line quote. This includes an out-the-door figure. Some dealerships may try to get away with hiding certain items in order to get you in them and then spring them on you once you are there. Earlier this week, Jennifer and I actually dealt with a customer who went to a dealership in North Carolina, and she told us that they gave her this, it was a 4Runner priced a certain amount. When Jennifer dug into it, she realized that the price that they had online was actually incorrect. It was higher than what it should have been. Long story short, that customer bought a vehicle from us the other day. Questions to ask yourself during the test drive. Make sure to test drive the vehicles that you are considering in order to help decide which vehicle best meets your needs. You always want to make sure that you are fully comfortable in the vehicle. Consider if you are driving a long distance. Would the vehicle be comfortable for you? Do you have passengers often, or do you carpool? Is this vehicle comfortable in that scenario? Do you like the setup for typical items such as phones, cups, sunglasses, and any other items that you may travel with? Is this vehicle easy to apply the brakes for a possible abrupt stop? And is it easy to accelerate? How does a car compare to your current vehicle? What do you like and what do you dislike about the comparison? If the vehicle is pre-owned, always ask for a vehicle history report to check for accidents and proper maintenance. We will provide a Carfax for you if you're buying a pre-owned vehicle, so you can see what has happened to this vehicle, whether or not we've done an oil change, whether or not it had new tires put on. Those sort of things are included in your Carfax, so always ask for it because we can definitely give that to you. Understand a vehicle purchase is one of the 2 largest purchases made. Always make sure that you love it, because ultimately it is you driving and caring for it. At this time, Jennifer from Danville Toyota will come up and do her part.
afternoon. I am so excited to see each and every one of you here today. I'm Jennifer Strader. I'm one of the sales managers at Danville Toyota. I have been in the car business for about 6 years now. Let me tell you just a little bit about how I did that, because I actually didn't start off thinking I was going to be in the car business. I actually started off when I graduated from college as a pharmaceutical rep. I did that for about 2.5 years, and then my husband Andy and I decided we were going to have kids, and I stayed home for 13 years. So if you're a stay-at-home mom or a single mom and you've ever experienced that, you know what kind of job that is. But I decided I wanted to go back in the workforce because I had a lot of goals and dreams that I had yet to accomplish, and so I got an opportunity to go into the car business. I started off in internet sales, did a very good job at that, and realized how much I loved the car business. And then after that, I was a customer relations manager, and then I worked for an owner for a little while, and then did finance manager for a while. I left the car business for about a year, and I was a loan officer at a bank, and decided that I wanted to go back. So I went back in the car business as an internet sales manager, and then just recently became a sales manager. So I'm super, super excited about all the opportunities in the car business for women. Just like some of the other industries we talked about earlier, a lot of these industries are heavily dominated by men, and this business is a great opportunity if you ever want to do something different and go into something and take advantage of all the opportunities that a woman can have. So great, great business. We're going to talk about that afterwards. I'd love to share with you. First thing I want to talk about is utilize your strength as a woman when you're going to buy a car. All this information that we're sharing with you, we're giving you insider trading tips, okay? This is stuff typically in the car business people aren't going to talk about. We're not going to tell you how to go and buy a car. But as a woman, you need to know this information, because when they see you walk into a dealership, they already think they have an advantage over you. But if you research, you know knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is power. So if you have the research done before you walk in that door, you're going to surprise whatever man walks up to you and they think they have the advantage over you, you'll have the advantage over them. So take this information. Everything that Beth was saying, that was a lot of information, just so you know. But however, please take that, look back through it. It's super, super important that you know that before you walk in the door. I'm going to talk to you about next is your trade. This is kind of a weird thing. A lot of people don't really investigate their trade. I mean, we all have a vehicle that we're driving currently, so most likely you're going to trade it in. So there are 2 good resources for you to look at on that. Kelley Blue Book is great. So is also NADA, and I'm going to throw one more in there. I'm going to say Black Book. I actually really like Black Book a lot. So if you were to come into my dealership this afternoon and you decided that you wanted a new vehicle, you're going to hand me your keys and I'm going to go out and I'm going to look at your vehicle. After I look at your vehicle, I'm going to kind of investigate the cosmetics of it, and then I'm going to look at the tires. Those are 2 main things that I'm going to look at. Then I'm going to drive it. I want to see if it's been well maintained and taken care of. So some tips for you, if we go to the next slide, some tips for you to make sure that you get the most for your trade. The first thing is you want to make sure you keep up with that maintenance. You know, Jenny was talking about maintenance earlier. Super, super important. Make sure you're getting those oil changes and the tire rotations. The manufacturer suggests a lot of other maintenances too. They're not just things they came up with. Those are things that help to keep your car for a long, long time. Most people do trade fairly often, but there are some people, you may be one of them, who keeps their car a long time. And so you need to keep up with those things, okay? The other thing that you need to do when you're thinking about your trade and getting the most for your money is you make sure that you always go to a certified mechanic to get the work done, okay? The reason I'm telling you this is because one of the things, like Beth was just talking about, one of the things I'm going to look at on your trade is the Carfax. So if I look through that Carfax and I see that there are no maintenance records on it, I'm going to assume that you did not take care of your car. There's a deduction for that, just right off the top. The other thing I'm going to look at that Carfax for is I'm going to look to see if there's any accidents. So we're talking about the cosmetic things on your vehicle is next. Make sure that if you run up on a curb or anything that you damage the exterior of that car, make sure you go ahead and file that with your insurance, because it really does help the value of your trade when you get ready to trade it in, okay? Next slide is understanding why trade-in value is lower than market value. I'm actually going to read this part because it's a lot of information. When a consumer buys a car and is selling their prior vehicle to the dealership, the amount that is quoted is called the trade-in value. If the consumer is selling the vehicle on their own, the amount is called the market value. And that is kind of something you do need to keep in mind, because you're going to see several different values when you look on Kelley Blue Book and these websites. You want to make sure you understand what each of these are. To understand why the trade-in is less, first understand there are two reasons a dealership accepts trade-ins. A trade-in may be well-maintained example of a model the dealer can recondition and sell on their used car lot. The dealer is making it easier for the consumer to be able to purchase the new vehicle. When a dealer buys a vehicle from a customer, they're making the customer's life a little easier while adding complexity and uncertainty to their business model. Why? Because paperwork regarding the transfer must be completed and filed. The vehicle must be inspected, it must be reconditioned, and in some cases repaired. Just so you know, when we take in a vehicle, those two numbers, the trade-in value versus, I call it the retail value or market value, those two things, you're going to see market value is going to be much higher than the trade-in value. The reason for that is, in the state of Virginia, you are only required by law to state inspect a car that is used and put it on a lot. So the advantage to Danville Toyota, what we do is we don't just put your car on the lot with state inspections. If you buy a used car from us, you know that it's been through a multi-point inspection. We look at anything on that vehicle that we anticipate could go wrong, and we fix it before we ever put it out there. And the reason for that is we really do care about our reputation. We want you to think of us in a good light. We want you to come back. We love our customers, so we're going to do that. Typically, we spend anywhere from $750 to about $1,500 on every used car, just so that it's right for you if you purchase it on our lot. All right, next slide. You can always opt to sell it, which is that market value that we were talking about. It is a little bit of a difficult process to do on your own, and sometimes it can just be a frustrating process. That's why we do trade-ins, because we want to make it an easy process for you. Some things to be aware of if you do decide you want to sell your own vehicle. Be aware of the state and local laws governing the private sale of vehicles, because there are some. To get the maximum value, you need to make sure that you have your vehicle cleaned, replace the worn items on it, and repair anything that doesn't work in order to get that value for it, okay? The consumer must also advertise for the vehicle and arrange for people to meet them, to test drive it and look it over. Also have to do quite a bit of paperwork, so you may want to think about that. The other part of it is the DMV work, titling and that kind of thing. That can be difficult. We actually have people on staff that are very versed in DMV and titling, which makes it really nice for you. You don't have to worry about that. Because if you're ever going to the DMV for any length of time, you know it's not an easy process. And the next thing I'm really excited to talk about is some common myths versus facts in the automobile industry. Once I got into the car business, it was actually one of those things I had a lot of misconceptions about what was going on. The first one is car salespeople make thousands of dollars when they sell a car. Believe it or not, that is not true. It really isn't. Most guys that sell a car, they make about $200 on average. Sometimes it's $100. It's not a lot of money. So if you think that when you're saying to that person, hey, I know you've got more room to do it, most of the time we really don't. There's about a 1 to 2% markup in cars. If you'll look at the rest of that, it shows you that Apple, Google, and Microsoft, they earn about a 20% net margin. Comcast is 12% and ExxonMobil 8%. So you can tell there's a pretty big difference in what we make on vehicles. Another myth is paying cash will get you a better deal. Not true. With us, we are actually incentivized by banks to finance. They want our business, so they give us a little bonus if we finance with them. So there are some times when you might get a little bit better deal if you finance. So just know that for your knowledge. The other thing is you can get a better finance rate by going through your bank personally. There are times when that does happen. However, for the most part, we do so many loans that if you finance through us, we actually probably can get you a great rate. So, and we have about, right now I think we have somewhere around 35 banks that we're using, so we can look at so many to find you that best rate too. The next one is you should wait till the end of the month to get the best deal. Not true. There are times when we're getting ready to hit a goal and we want to do that deal at the end of the month, but a lot of times we've hit our goal by mid-month and we might not make the deals we were making at the beginning of the month. But I will tell you, at our dealership, if we can help make a deal with you, we're going to do it. Most of us want to be successful. So those are the myths. The next part I want to talk about, this is actually kind of my baby. I did this for a little while, and I notice a lot of people when they walk into a dealership, one of the things that they really get nervous about is walking into the finance office. When you walk into that office and you're getting ready to sign all the papers, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to sell me anything, please. But I'm going to tell you, there's two things in that office when you go in there that I have discovered over time are fabulous to have, and they're really, really important. They protect you, and I'm going to go over those. The first one is what we call vehicle service contracts. You'll hear people call it extended warranties. Years ago, you heard a lot of things about don't buy those, don't buy them, they're not worth it. But that is definitely changing. Vehicles are now one of the fastest growing technological devices in the world. Their mechanical systems are powered by sophisticated software and monitoring systems. These types of repairs can cost you thousands of dollars. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I've looked up several manufacturers. You're looking at somewhere between 35 and 45 computers in your vehicle. And each one of those computers, if they have to be replaced, they fail, you're looking at $1,000. You're looking at $1,500 just to replace them. Most of us do not have that just to throw out when we need to. So that's why the vehicle service contract can be very important. Due to the importance of these products for consumers, you're seeing more and more banks and insurance companies supporting the purchase of vehicle service contracts. And what I mean by this is you'll see that banks offer that. When I was working as a loan officer, we wanted you to have a vehicle service contract because we're giving you a loan for a vehicle. And if you default on that loan because you can't pay for the repairs, guess who's left with it? The bank. And they don't like repossessions. So we like that. We like vehicle service contracts when you're at a bank. Vehicle service contracts can be cheaper at the time of the purchase of that vehicle. I've heard some skeptical things about that. It is actually very true. As the miles get added to a vehicle, they are more expensive to purchase. Not only that, but you can't get a term as long as you could when you first purchase it. Different companies offer vehicle service contracts, but make sure you read what all is covered and not covered. You don't want to get in a situation where you think that it covers one thing and it doesn't. Another thing that I will tell you, just a little blurb on warning you, typically you're going to have, if you get telemarketer calls or you may see something in the mail and it's telling you, hey, your warranty has expired, I'm sure you've seen these, make sure you call us, or they call you on the phone. Please do not do that. Please do not. I bet I have 3 to 4 people that walk in the dealership a week. They're all upset because they think their warranty is expired. There's a big scam that's going on right now, so make sure you go somewhere legitimate that has, and we're not going to support a product that we don't think is legitimate, so make sure you go somewhere when you're getting these to make sure they're good products. The next thing I want to talk about is gap coverage. I'm going to explain what it is. When I was doing finance, a lot of people didn't know what gap coverage was. So I'm just going to explain it to you. I'm going to try to make it easy to understand. Let's just say, for instance, that today you're coming and you're going to purchase a vehicle and it's $25,000. You see that on the chart? That's the value of the vehicle when you purchase it, right? That top line there that kind of curves down, that is, as you make payments, what happens? Eventually you're going to pay that car off, right? That's what you owe on the vehicle. There's another line, I don't know if you can tell, where the yellow and the blue, the line there that curves down, that makes it look like a banana kind of, that is actually what your car's valued at, okay? If for some reason you were to have an accident and your insurance company totaled your car, you're gonna owe the bank that top red line, okay? Let's say you owe $20,000. However, the insurance company is only gonna pay you what your car is worth. The difference between those two is called the gap. Gap coverage, is what that does is it pays that difference. So if you have a $5,000 difference in that, you don't have to drive a car, you don't have to pay for a car you can't drive. gap coverage covers it so you can get into another vehicle very easily. Most of the people in the car business, you will notice if you ever ask them, most of them have gap coverage because we've seen enough people that have walked in the doors and can't buy a car because they owe money on another one. So gap coverage, super, super important. It's a great protection for you. The last thing I'm going to talk about is benefits of leasing. The manufacturers have done an amazing job at making leasing a great, great program. Years ago, people had so many horror stories, you didn't hear positive things about it. However, you have a lot of options when you lease. If you're purchasing a car and you're purchasing it every 2 to 4 years, leasing probably is a good idea for you. It's going to save you some money. At the end of your lease, you actually have more options. There's 3 things you can do. If you have leased a vehicle, at the end of it, you can turn it in, no questions asked. You don't have to do anything else. The second thing you can do, you can trade it in and you can lease another vehicle, or you can purchase a vehicle. So you can do that as well. And then the last thing is you can actually purchase the vehicle that you've been leasing. The cool thing about that option is you're guaranteed, when you sign the lease in the beginning, you're guaranteed a residual value on that car. So if for some reason, let's say that in 3 years that car is valued at $20,000, but you were guaranteed that you can purchase it for $15,000, guess what? You just built $5,000 worth of equity in your car. So it's a great, great program. And then you can also save money on repairs and with leasing because you're already under, instead of doing the vehicle service, you don't need a vehicle service contract and extend it onto this one because you have that whole time to have comprehensive warranty on it. So great, great option for you if you're the type of person that's going to continually have a car. Okay? And that's everything. Yes, ma'am? Yes, ma'am, we do. When you go into the finance office, there's actually some other products too. I didn't talk about those, but gap coverage is an option for you, as well as the vehicle service contract. And I will tell you, they're very inexpensive to add onto your loan. Typically, gap coverage raises your monthly payment by $10. I mean, I can waste that in a day at Starbucks. So, I mean, $10 a month is great to make sure you have that protection. So, yeah, it's definitely something we offer. Any other questions? Yes.
Is the credit score the same as with finance and with leasing?
Can you say that a little bit louder?
Is the credit score the same as with financing as it is with leasing the car, your finance options?
Right, we do look at your credit score for leasing just like we do for financing. It's all based on an individual basis. I mean, there's not like any cutoffs or anything like that. Typically, once we pull your credit, we can know whether you would qualify for leasing or not. It actually might be a little bit easier to lease. I haven't looked at it lately, but I know it used to be a little bit easier. Anything else? No? Any other questions? Yes?
I can say for Toyota about purchasing a Toyota vehicle is that after I paid the vehicle off, and I needed a loan, title loan or something like that, or even a bank loan, I got more value on my Toyota, and I could have a 2006 paid off and a 2010 paid off. They would take the Toyota every time. So, I mean, it's truth in the value of the Toyota.
You're absolutely right. In fact, that's one of the things that Beth was talking about when it was talking about resale value. Toyotas tend to top the charts in just about every category. You usually have more value in a Toyota than you do in any other vehicle, which is super nice for the consumer. So, and the great thing is we work there, so that's awesome. But yes, I mean, I think the FJ Cruiser has stayed there forever and ever. And then you've got the Tacoma at the top, the RAV's pretty close to the top. Most of those vehicles, they're great vehicles that last forever if you want them to. And then if you decide you want to sell it or trade it in, at least you know you're going to get a great value for it. So it's awesome. Anything else about purchasing a vehicle? Okay. So this is an
another section that we're really, really excited about. We have the lovely ladies from Wells Fargo here today, and they're going to go over some information about credit, your credit score, keeping your credit high, building it, all of that. So I'm going to just turn this over to them.
Good afternoon, everyone. With us today, my name is Natasha Gregg. I'm the branch manager at Wells Fargo in Danville. I've been working with Wells Fargo for the past 6 years, and these are my bankers here. We have 4 bankers at our branch, and they're all women. Our management, our management is women, and our branch is primarily employed by women in Danville. So that's something that we're real proud about. So what I'm going to let these ladies do is go over our Let's Talk Credit presentation. And if you guys have any questions, just let us know at the end. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Destiny Mitchell. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. I've been with the company for 6 years as well. When she asked me to talk about credit, I'm like, me? Talk about credit? I guess being in the banking field, I learned a lot because I haven't always had good credit. So just working in a financial institution, it just helped me a lot, talking with different people and resources. And I feel like sometimes as women, we miss that educational piece. So I'm going to share some topics with you all today about credit basics. And then we'll provide some tips on how to establish, improve, and manage your credit. Well, they're going to talk about it. Alright, first up is credit basics. What is credit? Credit lets you make purchases by agreeing to repay those funds later. Your credit limit, interest rate, and payment schedule are set by your lender. Your credit history reflects your ability to follow your lender's terms. Borrowing responsibly can help you build the life you've pictured for yourself. Credit plays a major role in your financial life, from securing loans, to renting a place, to live, and even landing a job. Having good credit can open doors to auto loans, mortgages, funds for education, and more. When you understand credit, you're able to use it effectively to reach your goals. We also have, if you want to look at some other credit options, you can go to wellsfargo.com. In the middle of the page, and there's some information there about borrowing and credit as well. What is a credit report? A credit report is a detailed list of your credit history based on information provided by your lenders. Your credit accounts, your payment history, and the details of how you manage each account. Your credit report gives potential leaders important tidbits about you. Specifically, a credit report contains information about you, your name, address, social security number, date of birth. Those are the things that help identify you. Public record information. In this area, you will find any information that is listed about you in the records of local, state, and federal courts. Collection agency account information, which is if you fail to pay back any creditors. They might hire a collection agency to contact you. Collection agency is typically a company that specializes in collecting money to pay your debts. Your credit history is a list of all the places where you have credit or used to have credit. They are called your accounts. Inquiries. This is a list of the companies that have requested a copy of your credit report for their review. Credit score. A credit score is a numerical rating used by lenders in the loan approval decision process. Lenders always want to know the credit history of people who ask them for credit cards and loans. To find out, they turn to the credit bureaus. The most important and the 3 largest credit bureaus in the United States are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Credit bureaus keep track of consumers' credit history information, like how many credit cards that you may have, how much you owe, whether you pay your bills on time, where you work, and how long you have worked there. Your credit score makes up 35%, and how well you pay other people back is 35% of your credit score. A credit score indicates how reliable you have been at paying back your debts. The credit bureaus analyze your entire credit history and generates a score, usually ranging anywhere from 300 to 850. And it varies from bureau to bureau. So if you have a 760 or higher credit score, that's considered excellent. 700 to 759 is good. 621 to 699 is fair. 620 and below is poor. And no credit score is also there. Your credit score impacts you in a lot of different ways. It can keep you from getting a credit card, purchasing a home, whether a landlord will even rent you an apartment. The interest rate lenders are likely to offer you, the amount of your insurance premiums, your ability to borrow money, and whether you can even get service from a utility company. How you can impact your score. 6 things that can improve your credit score would be: 1, pay your bills on time. 2, keep credit card balances within 70% of your spending limit. Only apply for and open new credit accounts when you actually need them. Pay down debt to reduce your debt-to-income ratio. Establish and maintain a good credit history and have a mix of revolving credit. A few things that you would like to avoid, and they can also lower your credit score, would be paying your bills late, having credit card balances near your maximum spending limit, applying for new credit cards frequently, whether you need them or not, exceeding your credit card spending limit. Please note that while not something you can always proactively impact, it is also important to understand that good credit takes time to establish. If you are new to credit, or if your credit file has not had any activity for some time, you may have built up enough credit file at the credit bureau to positively impact your score. What lenders look for. Credit history. When lenders evaluate a loan application, they look for stability in your credit history. For example, how long have you lived at your current address? How long you have been in your current job? Whether you have a good record of paying your bills on time and in full. If you want a loan for your business, the lender may consider your experience and track record in your business and industry to evaluate how trustworthy you are to repay. Capacity. Capacity refers to considering your other debts and expenses when determining your ability to repay the loan. Creditors evaluate your debt-to-income ratio, that is, how much you owe compared to how much you earn. The lower your ratio, the more confident creditors will be in your capacity to repay the money you borrow. Capital. That refers to your net worth. The value of your assets minus your liabilities. In simple terms, how much you own minus how much you owe. Collateral, that's used when applying for secured loans. Collateral refers to any asset of a borrower, for example, a home, that a lender has a right to take ownership of and use to pay the debt if the borrower is unable to make the loan payments as agreed. And last, conditions. Lenders consider a number of outside circumstances that may affect the borrower's financial situation and ability to repay. For example, what's happening in the local economy. If the borrower is a business, the lender may evaluate the financial health of the borrower's industry, their local market, and competition. So the first part that I summed up pretty much is credit basis. I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Foley, who's going to talk more about the debt-to-income ratio.
I'm Jennifer Foley. I'm new to Wells Fargo, but I used to be in the automotive business, so a lot of this is kind of goes hand in hand. So my topic is the debt-to-income ratio. So when you're going to buy a car, you kind of need to know if you can afford it. So debt-to-income ratio is basically you It's a little bit of math involved. Step one, you're gonna calculate your monthly income, and you use your income before taxes. Step two, you're gonna add up your monthly expenses, which may include your rent, your mortgage, any alimony or child support, student auto, other loans, credit card payments, and any other debt that you owe. And then step number three, determine your debt to income ratio. You divide your monthly expenses by your pre-tax income. So as a lender, there are a lot of different things that we look for when considering your debt to income ratio. Timing, do you pay your bills on time? Checking account, how you've used your checking account. Do you overdraft it? Do you use it like you're supposed to? How much do you make? What's your paycheck? Credit cards, how are you using them? Are you keeping them maxed out or are you using them wisely? Your purchases and bills, how are you paying? Did you go to the doctor and not pay that bill? How are you paying bills that you owe? What does your savings account look like? And do you save money for any unexpected expenses and things such as that? So an ideal debt to income ratio would be 35% or less. That gives a lot of room to make purchases such as autos, so that you can keep your debt ratio lower than your income. And that's all I have for debt to income ratio. So Maria's going to talk about establishing credit, or reestablishing credit.
Hi, my name is Maria Dickerson. I'm a personal banker at Wells Fargo. I just wanted to add just a little tidbit when you talk about credit. Being as how it's a women's empowerment, generally women make 20% less than men. So that means our credit needs to be top notch because we're already working against the group. So we need to make our money work more for us. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and go to improving your credit. Here's ways that you can raise your credit score, be responsible, and always pay on time. Paying on time accumulates for 35% of your overall credit score. If you know that you can't pay on time, contact your lenders. More so than not, they'll work with you. They don't want you to go into foreclosure. They don't want to repossess your car. They want to help you out. So contact them. Try to pay more than the minimum amount each month and avoid opening too much lines of credit. It is good to have a variety of credit, but try to avoid having too much. A lot of people always come in and they say, and they'll sit down and they'll say, and I ask them, what does your credit score look like? And they say, I don't know. They know that they haven't paid everything on time, so they just automatically assume that their credit is bad. And that's not always necessarily the case. So I always suggest that they go to annualcreditreport.com. Free website. It gives you all the 3 credit bureaus' reports and their details. It also allows you to dispute anything that's not accurate. Take advantage of it. It says, what can you do? What can improving your score do? If you look, good credit generally means lower interest rates. On a loan of $15,000 at 15%, it's going to cost you $427, and that's for poor credit. For excellent credit, 5% that same loan is going to cost you $352 a month. I also did another calculation. Let's say you went out to go buy a car for $25,000. Excellent credit. Let's say they offer you a 3% rate. That loan is going to cost you over the term $27,000.26. If your credit score is less than 620, that same loan is going to cost you $34,992. There's a big difference. Big difference. Let's see. And then, getting ready to borrow. You need to identify what your short-term and long-term financial goals are, writing them down. Write a to-do list. I do a to-do list for just about everything I do. And then evaluating if you're ready for a major purchase. Do you know what your credit score is? Have you worked on it? Have you improved it? Are you at a rate, a credit score that you can get that acceptable rate? And determine how much you need to borrow and review your credit options. You also can explore your credit choices, depending upon what it is that you're trying to purchase, whether it be a car, a house, a credit card, a student loan. And then we also have different resources through Wells Fargo that you can just go online just to research at www.wellsfargo.com/smartcredit. And that's about it. It is.
All right, so these three ladies talked about a lot of great information today. Destiny talked about credit bases, Jennifer talked about debt-to-income ratio, and Maria discussed about improving credit. So credit is very important. You know, even for any age group, credit is important. Whether it's rebuilding, establishing, increasing your credit, all of those aspects are important. So I encourage you guys to take interest in your credit. Any questions? I would do it annually, just once per year, just so that way, you know, you can see what's on there, what's changed.
Repeat the question so that we can hear what the question was and then the answer.
Okay, she asked how many times is it okay to pull your credit? And I was explaining to her, just, you know, once a year is good, so that way you can see what's on there, what's come off, and see if any changes have occurred, has your score increased, so that's a good idea to do.
I also want to reiterate that anytime you pull your credit and you're denied credit, at that point in time, you're also allowed to get a credit report. Generally, after that first annual credit report is issued, that's for free, there's a charge. But anytime that you decline credit, you can get a report for free, because they have to inform you why you were declined.
You can also get your report from all three agencies, so you can get one quarter, and the other one another quarter. You can have it multiple times through the year.
Yes. Yeah, and then you can all do, when you do the annual credit, they will pull all three as well. Yes.
But would that hurt your credit score though, pulling it 3 different times?
Well, that's why I would just pull it that one time, get it from all three credit bureaus once per year with the annual credit report. What Maria was mentioning was, let's say you apply for something and you want to know, hey, you know, I was declined, I don't know why. So then you have the right to pull that and figure out what's going on with your credit at that time.
So when you have a credit card and then they give you an app and they tell you that you can look at your credit, are you pulling your record every time, they send you? Oh, okay.
No, it's not a hard pull when you're doing that. That's just, and then also that's not always accurate, because that's like an idea of what it might be, and then it's different with each credit bureau as well.
I just thought of one more thing. Also, another way, if you know that you're having credit problems and you want to reestablish your credit, there are secured products. Generally, they'll require an initial deposit of whether it be $300, $500, but they're a really good tool to help you rebuild your credit. I've seen people raise their credits over 100 points within 6 months. So, you know, just keep that in mind. There are things out there to help you rebuild it. It's going to take time once it's done, unfortunately, but just because it's bad, it doesn't have to stay bad.
One more thing to add from Maria. I know, I'm sure everybody in here likes to shop, because I like to shop too. So, you know, every store you go in, they're like, hey, do you want to save 5%, 10%, 15%? Right, no. You know, it's hard to turn that temptation down, but as far as with products, when we talk about credit cards, it's better to find a credit card from a lender that gives you good rewards, if rewards, whether it's cash back or rewards points, it's better to get something like that instead of getting JCPenney, Bells, Old Navy, and have, just racking up the credit cards. Just have a couple credit cards that and then the interest rates can be higher as well too. After the introductory rate of 12 months, and now you're not getting that % off every time you go on Old Navy or whichever store it is.
So accounts don't normally just close by themselves. Even though they may be being dormant, they're still there. So you can say, well, I've had this credit card, I don't use it, I'm thinking it's closed out. No, it's still there. It's better to keep those credit cards or whatever your credit is open than to close it, because if you close it, it's going to have a negative impact on your credit.
Okay, so it's basically you haven't used it for a while. So I would just call them and see what do you have to do. Maybe you have to use it one time and that'll be good for like the next 5 years, of keeping it open.
Because it's still going to have an impact on your credit. It's going to show that the account is closed. And what they look at is your longevity of your credit. So the longer that you have credit and that it stays in good standing, the better your credit score is going to be. Because they want to see that you have an established credit history, not something that was just opened up 6 months ago. They want to see have you had something that was opened up 10, 15 years ago. Is it still current? Is it still open? It's going to have an impact on your credit. Any other questions?
First of all, thank you so much to Wells Fargo. That was a great presentation. Next, it is our extreme pleasure to introduce another keynote speaker for today. Her name is Jennifer Maturko, and she is the Franchise Renewal and Dealer Performance Manager for Central Atlantic Toyota. So she's coming from headquarters.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Teresa. As she stated, I'm with our corporate offices at Toyota. We have a regional office in Baltimore, Central Atlantic Toyota, and we cover Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland. So I drove down yesterday to be part of this event. Now, I'm not a car person. I can't tell you the difference between an actuator or a carburetor. I don't know if cars still have timing chains. And I really have no idea why people care so much about horsepower. I don't get it. But cars aren't what drew me to Toyota. The company's culture of taking care of employees and their customers are what attracted me. I've worked for Toyota for 7.5 years now, but I've had the pleasure of having Toyota as a part of my family for 28 years. My mom started with the company in 1990 as a temp secretary in the San Francisco regional office. And then she was hired on full-time in 1991. She had a manager who saw her work ethic and promoted her despite lacking a college education, which is a requirement to work for Toyota. From there, she held many positions, including 5 management positions. And I'm very proud today to follow in her footsteps and work for a great company that's been wonderful to me and my family. It's an exciting time to be a woman in the workforce. Women are starting to out-earn their spouses. They're holding high-rank positions in both the private and public sectors, and they're being recognized for their innovation and leadership. Toyota recognizes that women are a big influence across all aspects of life.
Because of that, women continue to influence Toyota as a company. Toyota wants to ensure women don't dread or fear going to a dealership, and they want to make sure that women enjoy purchasing a vehicle. Today's event is so special. I commend Danville Toyota for recognizing that women are important customers and recognizing the need to host such an event. Did you know that women influence over 85% of all new vehicle purchases? And they actually physically purchase over 64% of all new vehicles on the road. They outnumber men in the number of registered driver's licenses, and they're often they're often the ones who take the family vehicle in for service and inevitably decide if they're going to return or if they're going to go somewhere else. When these women are choosing what cars to purchase, they don't just purchase for style or for price. Well, they do care about that. They actually do their research and ultimately settle on the most safe and reliable option. When they're choosing a place to service their vehicles, they look for a clean environment, sure, but they care more about whether the place cares about them as people, whether they are made to feel comfortable and welcome, and if they're treating them equally. These traits are at the core of Toyota. Consumers can see safety and reliability in every vehicle we produce, Toyota Care and Toyota Safety Sense. And employees and dealers can see a company who respects people, strives for innovation, and encourages a customer-first mentality. Danville Toyota embraces the customer-first mentality every day in everything that they do, ranking in the top 10% of the 135 dealers that we have at Central and Toyota in sales satisfaction for customers, and almost as high for service satisfaction for customers. Today's event was all about the community. A lot of preparation and teamwork went into it, and I think that it's an unprecedented, successful event, and I'm very excited that I was able to be a part of it. So, thank you, Danville Toyota, and thank all of you.
Last time, okay. I don't like talking to microphones. I feel like I sound weird. So, it is my true pleasure, though, to end this entire event with our final grand finale keynote speaker. This is Alexis Earhart. She is President and CEO of the Danville, Pennsylvania County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm going to let her talk more about herself, but you guys probably already know.
Good afternoon. How is everybody? You sure tired?
Awesome.
I see some fun, friendly, familiar faces out there. Waves. It is my pleasure to be here with you today. Teresa and I started talking about this event so long ago before the date was set, and I know there's been so much work put in. And when she asked me to speak, and I shouldn't admit this because it's one of the things I'm going to tell you not to do, but I thought, me? Why would you want me to, And she mentioned the word inspirational, and I burst out laughing. But I really like Teresa, and she's not someone I wanted to say no to, so I said, of course I will do that for you. And then she told me who the other keynote speakers were, and I thought, are you kidding me right now? But I figured I'm not right next to my friend Kristen, so this should be okay. But it really is my pleasure to be here. Teresa, thank you to you and your team for putting on such an awesome event today. And thanks to you all for being here. I think it speaks a lot to you about you wanting to be here on a Saturday and to learn. I believe in women, and not in a, yay, rah, rah, I mean that too, right? But I really believe in women. I believe that we make change for ourselves. I think that things are better for us because of what we've done, and certainly with the help of our male colleagues and friends, but I think we do it. I believe in women, and I think you all do too, and it's a really exciting time. I teach on my moonlighting life, I teach in higher ed, and was doing some work for preparing for class recently and came across this quote. I don't know if anybody recognizes it. It's Mary Wollstonecraft. She wrote it in 1792 in the Vindication of the Rights of Women, and I hadn't seen it since high school. She says, I don't wish women to have power over men, but over themselves. And isn't that what we want? This isn't about one having more than another. This isn't about taking a bigger slice of the pie. This is about making the pie bigger for everybody. And that's what we do as women, and that's what excites me. So in the spirit of full disclosure, and you can move on, Josh. I am not a motivational speaker, as I've already pointed out to you. I haven't figured it all out, and if you have, you are welcome to come throw me off this stage and finish for me, because I would love to hear from you. And I am where I am because of other women, and again, it's not to the exclusion of men, but I have had a series of really extraordinary women in my personal and professional life who gave me opportunity and who believed in me when I didn't think I could do it. When at 23 they said, you should be the director of this, and I thought in my head, I can't do that, I'm an idiot. And I did it. And then when another opportunity came along, but I'm an idiot, I can't do that. But I did it. And so it takes us to do that. Do you know that women more often, much more often than men, have to be asked multiple times to run for public office? Men just wake up and roll out of bed and say, I'm going to do it. And good for them. Good for them. We need to do that. We need to do that. We need to take these opportunities. So I want to talk to you about a couple of challenges that I think we face, and hopefully there will be some humor in some of them. I don't know if anybody here has really been able to hone in on that black part of that Venn diagram. Because I don't know about you, but when I wake up in the middle of the night and the mind starts going and you think, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to pack the lunch, and we're going to get the shots, and we're going to do this for work, and we're going to do this, and then at some point I'm going to ride a bike, and all these things I have to do. It's rarely that overlap, right? And so when I say to folks, how much time do you think, how much do you have control over your schedule? That's the point where you can laugh. People don't, right? You say, who puts the boundaries on your time? I had the opportunity to work for a wonderful woman when I was home where I grew up in Maryland for a couple of years as an adult. And she told me that in the earlier part of her career, it was every night, it was some event that she and her husband would go to. And it took a health scare for her to realize that she could say no. That she didn't have to be everywhere. That no one was really going to look around and say, where's Nina? And the really cool thing she taught me was you don't have to have a reason to say no. You can say no. Just no. Or no thank you, right? We don't have to give a reason. And this is something that I still really struggle with. Because someone will ask me to do something, and it may be something that I might be interested in doing, but if it's going to take my small amount of free time away from my family, it's just not that interesting to me. Maybe it's something I don't want to do at all. And that's okay to not want to do things. Now I just have to say no. And you don't have to give a reason. So if you take anything away today, please take that. The next one is about saying you're sorry. Do you all do this? You walk into someone's office, so sorry to bother you. Are you? I mean, are you? You work together, you need to collaborate, right? But we do this, or sorry to interrupt. Sorry. I have a 7-year-old son, we play tennis. I apologize when I hit a ball away from him. He doesn't care. He wants to run. The baby wants to run. Sorry, Xavier, sorry. It's fine, Mama. My 7-year-old is teaching me not to say sorry. And one of the ways I really caught myself doing that was in writing, but it was the easiest to cure. So at the end of an email, I would write a whole long email justifying something, explaining, persuading. And at the end of the email, I would write, just my 2 cents. Well, that just eliminated any credibility from the previous paragraphs of what I had written. Just is as bad as sorry. We don't have to qualify what we say. What we say matters, particularly if you're taking the time to write it. So please stop apologizing. We have smart failures. And this is another one I like. People think, oh, well, you do this, and then you get promoted to here, and then you do this. For the millennials in the room, anybody know how many times you're predicted to change jobs? I mean, it's like over a dozen times, right? That you're going to change jobs in your life. This is not a ladder anymore. This is a jungle gym. And it's not just for millennials. It's for so many of us. If you had told me 2 years ago that I would be a chamber president, I would say, no, I'm going to be a university president. Because I'm in higher ed, that's what I know, that's what I do. And one day I'll be a university president. And then here it is. Complete jungle gym move. And I am not particularly acrobatic. So complete change, right? So we have to be adaptable to that and be comfortable. We have to get comfortable with that image on the right. We have to get comfortable with that because sometimes it's messy and it's ugly, but it gets us where we want to be, doesn't it? Many of you know the president at Averitt, Tiffany Franks, who it was my pleasure to work with for a number of years. And I can't tell you how many times she just looked at me and said, "Don't let perfect be the enemy of good." And I said, "But I want it all perfect, and I want it all down, and I want it all done." And she said, "I understand that. But don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Because then you just stop and you don't do anything. Because is anything ever perfect? Sadly, no. Sadly, no. So it makes me wonder what you've passed on because you felt like me, maybe you were negative. Or maybe you were just insecure about your abilities. Or you felt that you couldn't take advantage of that opportunity. And again, this is where we can learn from our male colleagues and friends. The research shows that when they're offered a promotion, they don't think, "Can I do it?" They just think, "Sweet, a promotion, I'm going to do that." Right? And we start thinking, "Well, I don't have this skill, and I really haven't learned that yet, and could I really master it while I'm doing the job?" Right? And all the 18 questions, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm ready, where's my office?" We need to learn from that. We need to capitalize on that, because I believe in women, and I think you do too. And the last point, or lesson, I guess, that I've learned that I wanted to share is paying it forward. And I just think this is so important. This isn't about position. It's not about title. You don't have to have any of that to pay it forward. This is about respect, and it's about empowerment. Again, I had the opportunity to work for someone in two places. I had the pleasure of working for her in two different institutions. And she was always preparing people under her for what was next. Because for her, if you were doing the same thing in 10 years for her, she had failed you. She hadn't prepared you to move on or up or over, whatever that move was. And so for her, it was always about preparing you for whatever the next thing is. And that's something that I took away from her. And so for my team, they may be working for me in 5 years. I hope it's in a very different role, a role where they're able to grow and develop. And I hope I've been able to help them get there. And so how can we do that in our professional lives? How can we do that in our personal lives? How can we do that as parents and as friends? Again, it's not about position or title. It's about respect and empowerment. So here are some of the things that I've learned. Not everyone will be happy for you. It's amazing, isn't it? I ran into a woman I've known for a number of years. She's lovely, and I was with my father. This was last fall, and I had just been appointed to a particular state commission, and she had seen it, and she said, "Aren't you just a little go-getter?" And I thought, that's not really a nice thing to say. You know, I could tell that what was said and the way it was said, she was not happy for me. She probably didn't want that opportunity for herself, but for whatever reason, she was not happy for me. And you know what? I didn't really care. Because I learned a long time ago that not everyone will be happy for you, right? We can strive to be happy for others regardless, but we can't control what the others say. The next thing I've learned, and Kristen, you know the gentleman well who I learned this from, everyone has an opinion, but we should only value the qualified ones, right? How often do we say, "Oh, but this person would want me to do it this way, and then this with this, and then this one wants it"? No, right? We have to discern who the qualified opinions are coming from, and then move forward. And the most qualified opinion we have is our own. Because I believe in women, and I think you do too, and we have to believe that our opinions are qualified ones. For anyone who's read the book Switch, you'll recognize my next one. It's that resistance is often a lack of clarity. Sometimes people aren't pushing back or resisting just to be difficult or to give you a problem. They're resisting because they don't really understand what the ask is, what the need is, what you want them to do. And so we have to be clear in what we want from folks, and they will appreciate that. And lastly, and I'd be shocked if none of you had ever experienced this, too often we are tougher on each other than our male friends and colleagues are on us, aren't we? Did you see what she wore? I can't believe she wore that. Why would she wear her hair like that? Why did she show up to work that way? Why did she come in at this time? Why did she do this? Did you see the shoes? Why did you? Is that what we should be worried about? Again, let's make the pie bigger, y'all. Let's make the pie bigger. It does not have to be this little pie. We can all be successful, and people who are afraid of making the pie bigger are concerned about themselves. They're not worried about you. And I think if we do this together, because I believe in you and I believe in me, then we can make that pie bigger. So I know you've had a long morning, and I want to end with one of my favorite Sheryl Sandberg quotes. She says, "We need women at all levels, including the top, but at all levels, to change the dynamic, reshape the conversation, to make sure women's voices are heard and heeded, not overlooked and ignored." So I believe in you, and do you believe in you? I guess that's the real question today, right? I believe in you, and I believe in me, so let's go do this together, shall we?
No, I had said that was the last time, but this is literally the last time. So, thank you again, everybody that came out. Thank you, Alexis, that was fantastic. Thank you to all of the I think, we all feel a little bit more motivation, maybe a little bit more kick in our step today. So everybody be sure to take a bag. Take one of the bags from the tables and your books. And thank you again.